Hi, friends, and happy new year if you are listening in real time. It is the first page of another chapter, and I am so excited to be here with you and to talk about the idea of creating a vision, whether that is a vision for this year or a vision in general. It doesn't actually matter what the timeline is. You can set it for a year if that's fun and useful. But really, what this is about is creating a vision for your life and for your business. And I am such a fan of creating a vision because I think having a vision and moving towards a vision leads you to magical places. Whether you end up manifesting the exact vision that you have or something else, I guarantee by just having a vision, having an idea of what it is you really want and crystallizing that, it is going to guide you somewhere amazing that you wouldn't go otherwise, that you wouldn't go to had you not had the vision and just continue kind of living on autopilot. And when I'm talking about a vision, I'm not just talking about a goal, right? I mean, you could call it a goal, I guess. But I think oftentimes when we think about goals, we just go into the mind and we think what makes sense. We think about what's the financial goal, how much money do we want to make in our business, right? Or we think about something like that. When I speak of a vision, it goes beyond a goal, right? A goal can be a part of it, but a vision is really what do you want for your life? And how can business be a part of that full on vision, right? Because I like to think of the idea of having a full vision for what I want my life to be. What do I want to experience? What do I want to call in? What do I want to manifest? And how can business be a part of that full life and full experience? Because I know as high achievers, which I know my brain can be a kind of high achiever, my ego can, think about just business, business, business. But when I started shifting and thinking about the full vision of my life, that's when things expanded for me in a beautiful way. And that's also when business started becoming more fun. It started becoming more energizing because I wasn't all consumed with it. I had a full vision for my life and it just started feeling a lot more holistic, a lot more full, a lot more satisfying. And there's going to be times in our lives where one area of our life is going amazing and another area we have challenges or we're struggling. And I love the idea of thinking of the fullness of your life and knowing that there's always going to be those places where we're winning and we are doing amazing. And then there's always going to be those areas where we are in a growth phase, when we're in an expansion, where maybe we're overcoming an obstacle. But when we can look at it in its fullness, it makes life's experience so much better than just looking at the micro, than just looking at, I'm going to look at my whole life through the lens of my business or through how much money I'm making or whatever it is, right? Fill in the blank, whatever that is for you. So let's talk about creating this vision and how I recommend doing it. So I'm going to walk you through some of my favorite questions that I like to ask that reveals the vision versus trying to come up with it from my mind. So here's what I don't recommend. I don't recommend creating your vision based upon societal conditioning. And what I mean by that is kind of what you think you should do next, what makes the most sense logically. What would your parents be happy that you did? What would others want for you? What we want to do is we want to start letting go of the shoulds and really get out of our mind and take space for ourselves, get into our heart space, right? So I actually like to do meditation before doing any kind of visioning process because I like to come back to my wholeness, come back to my heart, come back to my soul and the part of me that is just so much bigger than my little mind that has all of this conditioning. And I like to ask, what does my spirit want to experience? What is here for me? What wants to emerge? What do I want to co-create with the universe? Why am I here? What is my purpose? Right? The deep questions that aren't going to really come from your mind. They are going to come from somewhere within you. You might feel it come from your body, from your heart, from a knowing. So that is the space that I recommend creating your vision from. So I do recommend, if you're doing any kind of like New Year's process where you're thinking about what's next for yourself, to take some space, right? And to really get to a place where you can ground yourself, or you can come into your highest self. Maybe you meditate before, or you slow down and give yourself the space to really reflect and let this vision come to you. And the questions that I ask and the prompts will help that vision come to you and will help it reveal itself. Okay, the other thing is, the reason that I think visions are so powerful is I like to think of it, if you've heard me talk about manifestation, it is truly like deciding what destination we want to plug into our GPS, right? Like, let's say we're going on a trip. It's deciding, where do you want to go? Do you feel called to go somewhere warm and sunny, or do you feel called to go to the mountains, or do you feel called to go to the desert? Do you feel called to go, into the trees? What do you feel called to do? Where do you feel called to go? What space lights you up? What's the environment you want to be in? We want to decide where we want to go for that trip before booking tickets, before plugging it into the GPS, so that we can start making our way there. But without knowing where you want to go, let's say you just don't decide where to go. You don't have a vision for where you want to take this trip, and you just start driving. I mean, that could be an experience in and of itself where you just really surrender into it. But oftentimes you might not end up getting anywhere, or you end up somewhere, that you don't want to be. So deciding on the vision is kind of like plugging it into the GPS system of the universe. Because when we have a vision that we hold and that we see and that we kind of connect with, and I almost like to think of, we start this relationship with our future, we start this relationship with the vision, it's so much easier to go there, right? We actually are clear on where to go, what steps to take, how to get started, how to take the first step, what is the first step. But without a vision, we're not going to have those things. So I highly recommend creating a vision, even if it feels impossible, even if you have no idea how it's going to happen, how it's going to unfold. This is one of the greatest gifts that you can give to your life, is to let yourself dream and let yourself go there and let yourself decide what you want. And of course, we're not going to attach to timelines. It's more about, what direction do I want to start heading towards, right? Where do I want to go? That's what this is about. So I've talked about in different ways how deciding on a vision is like creating a mold, right? So think about something that has a mold, right? Like, for example, ice. If you think of any ice tray, it's a mold. And there's the cubes, there's the longer cubes. I've had little heart-shaped ice molds, so you can make a little heart shape. I've had star shape, different things, right? You've probably seen different molds that you can freeze water and turn it into ice, like different types of ice cubes, different types of shapes. This is what a vision is, right? It's like creating the mold for your life, right? You're actually envisioning, what is the shape you want? What is the feeling you want? What's the experience that you want? You're creating a mold that you get to then fill in little by little by taking action through your energy, through alignment, through synchronicities, right? And that is you filling in that mold. I always say thoughts become things, right? And thoughts are actually energetic. Thoughts have an energy to them. They are not a physical thing, right? They are an energy. But a form, right? The life that we have, what we want to manifest, what we want to create, oftentimes is form. So you're creating through your thoughts, through your ideas, through this vision, you're creating the mold that is going to take shape and become form. And one of the practices that I dive into and that I love is knowing that once I create that mold, it is done. That I am being led there, right? That journey has already begun, and I just have to trust that it's happening, that it is done, that if I move towards it, of course it's happening. And here's the thing, I always like with any vision to end it with this or something even better for the highest good of all concerned. Because sometimes we're going to create the mold with our mind, with our consciousness, with our heart, and there's a certain shape, but the universe sometimes leads us somewhere even better, to a vision that's even better, but we couldn't have even gotten to that even better vision without the initial vision, right? Without the initial decision to go after something, right? So I also like to leave room for magic, miracles, surprises, and something that's even better than that. But by having a vision, that's going to lead you there. So that's why we really want to have one. And I encourage you to have a vision for your business. So let me go through some of the questions that I would recommend meditating on. And when I say meditating on, I mean get yourself in a state where you just kind of breathe in and out, get into your body, get into your heart space, and you can listen to these questions and see what comes up for you. See if there's an answer that reveals itself. Or you can also write them down on a journal and then see what happens if you just respond to the question, just answer it. See if it's surprising, see if it's in alignment with what you already know you want. But answering these questions will help kind of reveal the full vision for your life and your business. So here are some of the questions that I like to ask. What do you sense your purpose is? Right? And this could be your purpose in your life. This could be your purpose in your business. What do you sense one of your purposes is? Another one, what wants to emerge through you? What wants to be co-created through you? And this is how I like to think about it. You have your own unique energetic blueprint, meaning there is absolutely no one else on the planet like you. No one else with the exact same background, the exact same experience, the same obstacles that have been overcome, the same knowledge, the same wisdom, the same skills, right? The same gifts, all of these things. There is no one else on the entire planet that is the same as you. You have your own unique blueprint. So why are you here? What is meant to be created given this blueprint that you have that is uniquely yours and different from everyone else? How can you use it in service, right? How can you give from this place? So what wants to emerge through you and with you? What do you actually want? That is a powerful question that I think not all Sorry, let me say that one more time. That is a powerful question that not everyone asks themselves. And sometimes that's all we need to ask ourselves is what do I want? Not what do others want for me, not what do others want? What do I want? And see what comes, even if it feels unrealistic or impossible. Still let yourself write it down. This is a space where you're letting yourself dream and envision without having to know how it's all going to happen. Another one that I like to ask is, what is my ideal schedule? Right? What is my ideal schedule? How much do I want to work? And what do I want to be doing when I'm not working, right? What is my ideal day? What does my ideal week look like? Write that down because this can be a part of your vision. What do you want your life to look like outside of work? Again, it kind of goes hand in hand with that, with the ideal day, but like what do you want to do outside of work? And I ask that question because I know I have a lot of entrepreneurs listening who tend to be high achievers, who might just tend to think about what do I want for work or what are my goals work-wise. And I want to encourage you to think of goals outside of work too, and what you want your life to look like in work and out of work. Okay, another question is, what is something that's been on your mind that you have been scared to say yes to or take the leap? What is something that's been on your mind that you've been scared to say yes to or take the leap of? Right? This is a fun question. This is how so many of the magical things in my life have happened because there are desires that I've wanted, but like was just scared to take the leap until I felt quote unquote more ready. And here's the truth. Oftentimes you just have to ask yourself, am I ever going to really feel ready for this? Like, what would it actually take to feel ready? Why not now? What's the worst that could happen if I went for this now? Just see if there's anything there. My other favorite question is, what is the energy in which I want to embody this year? And I always pick a word of the year. So, what is it that wants to what's the energy I want to lean into? What do I want to feel this year? I've had so many different words of the year. This past year, it was support. That word just came to me. Other years, it was receive, abundance. I had manifest one year. I had surrender one year, and magical things have happened every year. But I let this word come to me in the vision. And then lastly, now this is around your business. I think this one is a really important one to ask and create a vision for is, what do you want your numbers to be? Meaning, how much money do you want to make? How much money do you want your business to make gross? And I also like to create a vision for how much profit do I want to make? What percentage profit do I want to have this year? And that comes from both kind of the heart and the knowing and an expansive space of what's possible and what do I want to create. But also, I get a little bit strategic and think also, what is this year about, right? Is this a heavy investing year where I really want to grow the business in a big way? So maybe I'm going to invest more, right? Which doesn't always mean that it's going to take away from your profit, but maybe I shrink what I need in terms of profit this year because I want growth, right? So I pick those numbers intentionally. And I think this isn't something that's often asked to entrepreneurs, right? We always think, how much money do we want to make? But then we forget to say, well, what do I want the profit to be, right? How much do I want to take home? And that makes all the difference, because I've seen people who have not been intentional with that and have ended up making a lot of money, but then they were also putting in a lot of money and they weren't intentional about really watching expenses, watching where their profit was and where their margins were. And I think as CEOs and entrepreneurs, especially if you're wanting to grow your business, this is important stuff to start looking at now, no matter where you are. If you're starting out, start looking at that now. If you're in a space where you're scaling, definitely start looking at that and decide on purpose what you want that to be and make that a part of your vision, because money is a part of your life. It's going to allow you to experience life in a certain way. So we cannot not look at that, right? Because it's just such a big part of the whole vision. So I would encourage you to decide ahead of time, what do you want your numbers to be? Like whether it's this year, in the next 10 years, but I would absolutely create that as a part of your vision. Okay, so in terms of how to actually create a vision, what does that actually mean? Once you have these questions down, once you're clear, then you can kind of put it together in the way that you want to. So for me, I'm a visual person. I love creating a vision board, and I do it at least once to 2 times a year, where I create a vision for what I want to lean into. And what I like about that is visuals imprint your subconscious. So every time you look at it, it is going into your subconscious mind and saying, hey, this is where we're headed, right? So I look at a vision board as, this is my future. This is where we're headed. This is where we're going. This is what's plugged into the GPS system of the universe. And I continuously look at that and it imprints in my subconscious. So I highly recommend creating a visual for yourself in some way, whether that's a vision board or whether that is you just writing it down and looking at it. Like, having something that you can see can be super powerful. Another way that you can do it is also writing out. If you tend to be a journaler, you can also write out a day in the life of your future self, a day in the life of the you that is experiencing this vision that's unfolding, and write out what it's like, what your day is like from the time that you wake up in the morning, all the way to the time that you go to bed. What is your life like? Feel it, get to know it, start a relationship with this. All right. And lastly, one of the easiest ways is just write down almost like a little bucket list, right? All the things that you want to create, that you want to generate, that you want to manifest, right? Just create like a manifestation list. That is one of the easiest ways. And it's not even like you have to look at it all the time. You don't have to try to force it, but just writing it down increases the chances of it happening significantly. Studies show this, that it significantly increases the chances of your vision unfolding if you have it written down. So that is my encouragement for you as you move into the new year. And I'm so excited about your vision. I am so excited to support you in any way that I can in its unfoldment. And I'd love to hear what your vision is. I love to chat with you inside of Instagram. Come say hi to me. Let me know what unfolds for you. If there was anything surprising, if there was anything scary that came up, because maybe your brain's like, but how? And just remember, you don't have to know how. Remind your brain that it's okay to dream, and you get to co-create this with the universe, that this isn't all on you. That's something that I like to remind myself. It's not all on me, right? That yes, I'm going to go all in on this. I'm going to take action towards it. But magic and miracles happen every single day, and the universe has my back, right? And so that is what I would recommend reminding yourself if you get a little bit freaked out by what is revealed. And maybe you're going to just be so excited by it. But I'm excited for you to create your vision. And again, I'd love to hear about it. So come chat with me on Instagram, Jamie_Berman_. And I hope you have a wonderful new year.